So assuming that neither one of these teams blows a 3-0 lead in round 2, we're going to get the Celtics and the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals. Two pretty different teams. Boston moves the ball around a lot, plays great team defense, and the Cavaliers give the ball to LeBron, let him be great, and hopefully their defense doesn't implode. And I think we can start with defense, really, because that's probably going to be the theme of this series. And I'm actually not going to start with how the Celtics could defend LeBron. I actually am going to start with how should they defend Kevin Love, who is probably going to start at center for these guys. And I think that puts into question what happens with Aaron Baines, because Baines has been a really good role player for Boston all year. As a rebounder, he's helping out Al Horford and all that. But Kevin Love's going to be on the perimeter, and that makes the Cavaliers really tough to defend. I don't know if Aaron Baines can deal with that type of play there. I mean, the way Valanciunas got beat by Kevin Love, you might expect the same thing with Aaron Baines. And if that's the case, you might have to start with Al Horford at center, which is something the Celtics haven't done a whole lot this season. They have busted it out when they've needed to, and there's a chance that they may need to now, because with the amount of shooting that Kevin Love at center gives them, it can be tough to defend. Now let's get to LeBron. So we saw in the Raptors series, or we're seeing it because it's not technically over, they don't have a guy who can really stay with him one-on-one. Their best chance is OG Anunoby. The first guy I want to talk about actually is Al Horford, who could end up switched onto LeBron a lot if he ends up playing at center next to Kevin Love, because the LeBron-Kevin Love pick and roll is a staple for them. I mean, Horford was actually pretty decent at defending Ben Simmons in round 2. So, is there a chance that Horford could actually stay in front of LeBron? Potentially. Full court, he won't have a chance. But then again, LeBron is a significantly better isolation player than Ben Simmons is. So Horford could have a pretty tough time there, at least from an athleticism standpoint. Jaylen Brown, definitely the most athletic player on the Celtics, and probably the guy that you think of as, from a physical standpoint, like matching LeBron, 6'7", 6'8", around 220, 230 or so. The thing with Jaylen, for me, is I think he may just not be strong enough to deal with James. There's no perfect guy. Like, I think the Celtics, for as much size and switchability and strength that they have, they don't have like a Kawhi Leonard or even a Kevin Durant, who's actually been one of the better LeBron defenders. But I don't think they have a whole bunch of guys who are just going to be screwed the moment they get switched onto LeBron anyway. So, between Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, Al Horford, Marcus Morris as well, you've got a lot of decently sized wings who I think could make LeBron work, and it's not going to be a runway for him to get to the basket. The other thing, of course, is the Brad Stevens effect, right? He's going to throw some weird stuff at LeBron. I mean, LeBron's seen it all at this point, and the way that that guy manipulates defenses to help off of someone so he can get them the open look, and the way he attacks matchups as well. I mean, the dude's a basketball genius, but Brad Stevens is a basketball genius as well. So I'm assuming the Celtics are going to bust out some sort of rotation, some switching plan, going over screens, under screens. They're probably not going to throw the same thing at LeBron too many times because he'll adapt to it in 5 seconds. But if there's any coach that's ever going to confuse LeBron and make him second guess what he's doing and make him go to his plan B or his plan C, then it's probably going to be Brad Stevens. So I assume that that's going to happen a bit in this upcoming series. But even then, it's so difficult. I mean, you're talking about an elite playmaker, a great isolation player, a great post-up guy, a terror in transition. I mean, I don't need to explain LeBron James too much to you. I think the other thing the Celtics can do is there are some guys in this Cleveland team you can dare to beat you from outside, mainly Jeff Green and maybe Tristan Thompson, depending on where he is. But now we can get to Cleveland's defense, and if it's going to be able to hold up against this Celtics offense that's just moving the ball around, and since I already praised Brad Stevens for what he's going to think up on defense, we can praise his offense as well. The team is just constantly moving, right? The amount of off-ball screens, cuts, and all that beautiful basketball stuff, it really works for them. And the 76ers, for being one of the best defensive teams in the league this season, had some trouble against that offense, mainly because they were able to pull Joel Embiid outside of the paint. They were able to tire him out, and it helps when you have a 5 like Al Horford who can do that type of stuff. So Cleveland's got their work cut out for them. The Cavaliers' defense all year has been pretty bad. How many really good one-on-one defenders does this Cavaliers team have at this point, you know? George Hill, maybe. I think LeBron will probably turn it on a bit more defensively in this series. If he's going to ever, it's got to happen now, right? But between J.R. Smith, Kyle Korver, and Jordan Clarkson or Rodney Hood or any of those guys, there's some dudes that you can attack on this Cleveland team. And I expect Stevens' offense to find a lot of mismatches. I'm sure Cleveland's defenders will be falling asleep off the ball at times. And the other thing we got to talk about, which I think is huge for the playoffs, especially right now, is the amount of creators that are on this team, even with Kyrie Irving out. Jason Tatum was huge in the 76ers series. There were a lot of times when he bailed them out when the offense had died. Jaylen Brown's handle has been coming along well. Hopefully his hamstring is good. Terry Rozier, of course, has been kind of shocking the world here with his playoffs. Marcus Morris, depending. Sometimes he gets a little too isolation happy, but sometimes it actually is productive as well. So even if Cleveland's defense does step up, which I think is fair to expect because they've kind of done that even last year when their defense was bad in the regular season, they got to, I believe, around average in the postseason. The Celtics may be able to get some baskets anyway, and that's huge because you need some isolation ability in the playoffs. So, yeah. Now, Cleveland does have some options of their own. You dare Marcus Smart to beat you. If Semi Ojeleye is in the game for defense, you leave him open from outside. And the Cavaliers do like to trap on pick and rolls. They did it against Oladipo. I don't recall them doing it as much against the Raptors, but it is something in their back pocket. I think the Celtics can be able to counter that type of stuff because they're a pretty smart team, but I'm not acting like the Cavs have no chance here. If I had to pick, I'm probably going to go Cavaliers in 6, which continues my reign of not picking my favorite team, the Celtics. I'll be rooting for them. I hope they win, but I mean, LeBron's just on another planet right now, and I'm sure they're going to confuse him and do some things the Raptors couldn't, but I still got to go with LeBron.